And the two leagues merged, and at the time they didn't really know it, but they came up with this thing called the Super Bowl. You guys were so used to winning. Was there ever a doubt those first two when you take on teams like the Chiefs and the Raiders? You guys had so many battles with the Cowboys and Giants over the years, and the Browns and the Colts, and were you truly felt like you were the superior league?
Well, we were watching films the week before Super Bowl I, and the Kansas City Chiefs were running a defense was on the field. We're watching the defense, of course, as offense, and their two safeties run together and knock each other down. And Max goes, run that back, watch the safeties up here. And they run it back, and he goes, starts doing Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies from the comic script, right? And so we had won 3 times before Super Bowl I. So it wasn't really like our first trip to the big dance. And so we were fairly relaxed and fairly comfortable and didn't really have any way to measure the Kansas City Chiefs. We never played anybody that they had played. So we just kind of assumed that we were the superior being on the planet and we were going to take care of business. And we get out on the field, and there's Bobby Bell, who's a sensational linebacker, E.J. Holub, who's a Texas boy who's run all day and all night. They had a defensive tackle that was about 6'8" and 285 or so. And they had some really good football players. And so we weren't really quite ready the first half. And it was like 14-10 at halftime. I'm not sure exactly, but it wasn't, we certainly didn't overwhelm them.
Pulled away in the second half.
In the second half, we went in and we talked to ourselves a little bit and chatted with one another about this is a pretty good football team, and we better get our stuff together.
Is it fair to say that 66 team was still dominant and confident no matter who they played, and 67 maybe just kind of hanging on? I mean, there was a lot of trials and tribulations. How would you categorize it, living it?
67 was our 3rd consecutive title. And Coach Lombardi gave us a speech on the opening day of training camp in the Sensenbrenner Hall about the challenge that we faced in the future. How this was going to be the toughest year we had ever faced. No one had ever won 3 in a row. They're going to be waiting for you. The worst team in the league is going to be cocked and loaded and waiting for you. There's not going to be a day off or a week off. It's going to be a long and difficult season. And it proved to be that. And I think the fact that we had won the 2 previous titles, everybody knew where we were and who we were, and they mostly knew our plays. They knew what we wanted to run. We ran the same thing year after year after year. It was the same deal. I played with Coach Hallis, was up here for a game, 66, 7, somewhere in there, and felt pretty good about his team and was kind of bragging just a little bit about it. And we won, of course. It was 3-6 points or something like that. And Coach Hallis was doing an interview with the press afterwards, and they said, well, what happened? Nothing happened. We got beat. Well, I thought you thought you were going to win. Well, we did think we were going to win. Well, what went wrong? Nothing went wrong. We knew what they were going to do. We knew where they were going to do it, and we knew when they were going to do it. We just couldn't do anything about it. Everybody knew what we were going to do and knew how we were going to do it, and we did the same thing year after year after year. And it was execution. It was emotion. It was burn. It was fire. It was hunger. So we didn't dominate the 67 season, but we got through it, and we had a wonderful playoff. The Rams beat us 27-7 or something like that in L.A. about 2 or 3 weeks before the game in Milwaukee, where we beat them 27-7. But the playoffs were a whole different level of emotion and a whole different level of intensity and focus.
And there's been so many stories and things written, TV shows, the Ice Bowl. What don't we know about it? What is there something that you can share with this crowd that, hey.
There are a couple of thoughts that are there. That first of all, I asked Bart 15 years ago or so, long after the Ice Bowl, we're working together doing something, and I said, what possessed you to think you could take that ball 65 yards? We're on the 35-yard line. It's minus 57, 59, chill. And we have gained a minus 9 yards in the previous 31 plays. Minus 9.
Unbelievable.
So I say to Bart, I said, what it possesses you to think you could take that team 65 yards in those conditions and with our prior history? What were you thinking about? He said, Jerry, I started to say something. I come into the huddle, and I was going to say something. I looked in your eyes, and I looked in Gilly's eyes, and I looked in Ski's eyes, and I looked in Forrest's eyes, and I knew that you knew what we had to do. So all I said was, all right, let's go. So we start down the field, and Donnie Anderson is sensational. Chuck Mercine is sensational. Boyd Dowler, Carroll Dale. Everybody on that football team is making a super effort. Bob Skoronsky, our left tackle, is a classic example. We get down to the 11-yard line, and Bob Lilly, who's playing over Gilly, is a sensational football player. Yep. Great speed, great reaction, great strength, everything you need. And we wanted to run a give play on him. We'd pull the guard to his right, and Lilly would follow. Lilly had great reflexes, and so he was known to follow. But the defensive end then had inside responsibility for where Lilly was going, and that was the most difficult block on the field. And so Bart wants to run the play on the 11, and he comes into the huddle, and he said, Ski, can you make that block on the give play? Now, Ski could have said, gee, I'll try. I'll give it my best. I'll do what I can. I'll sure try. Ski said, call it on 2. Call it on 2. No question about whether he was going to make the block. No question about whether he could make the block. He was going to get it done. So that takes us down to the 1-yard line, and then we have our sneak, which I called on Thursday. I suggested on Thursday. Jethro Pugh was high. He came up every play. We watched 3 game films 3 weeks prior to our game. We watched the short yardage. Every play, Jethro was up. So it was expected that he would be up. He was up. We got into him and moved him, and hoop-de-doo.
And the rest is history. And the rest is history.
When we come back, the life and pictures of a gridiron legend.